All right. Welcome one, welcome all. Rock and roll. Here we are. Welcome friend, welcome foe, sinner and saint. All welcome here at the Scorched Earth Political Podcast. First of all, if you could, please hit that like and subscribe button. Also hit the notifications button. And when you get done with all that, give yourself a nap and get a cup of coffee. Well, I don't think those two go together, but I do know people who drink coffee before they take a nap. So we're going to get to some stories here in a second. That's kind of our little MO. I know we're getting new people all the time, but I usually tell something from the world, trying to kind of ease into all the news that we get. You know, it gets a little horrendous. It gets a little brutal. Oh, we're not even at 100 days. Peace. And today was a day I take my parents to the doctor. And that is a circus like the Grateful Dead at their height. We're traveling across America, right? There's all kinds of stuff that has to go into them going to the doctor. Now, typically, we go first thing in the morning. I learned a lot today. We usually go first thing in the morning. They want to get it out of their way. I've come to realize that my parents who are in their 80s, that going to the doctor is kind of like Easter. It's something to be planned for, well thought out, and then celebrated. You know, because after we go there, we've got to go eat. We got to go sit down, and we're going to get into all that, right? So, I mean, this is like kumbaya, right? And so my mom's appointment is at 11:30, okay? And it takes about 20 to 25 minutes to get there. But my mom, love her, adore her. She's got to make sure she gets there way early. She's one of those people who likes to get there half hour early. And we're going to get into what that is like in a doctor's office, right? So a half hour, if I'm at her house at 10:30, 25 minutes there. We're going to be there basically 11 o'clock. Appointments at 11:30. We should be okay. I thought we were okay. I was meeting with super producer Stacy this morning, and I cherish the meeting because I learned so much. She's going through it. She's so patient, but now I have less than an hour. I got to literally put the timer on my watch, right? Which sucks. I always enjoy meeting her for coffee. It's really a cool thing. It's one of the highlights of my week. So I'm going there and I'm kind of keeping one eye on the clock. You know, we're kind of doing this. She's trying to teach me. I'm like, okay, I gotta kind of push stuff off because I'm not the TI guy. I'm not the technology bro. Okay, you think this good-looking face is going to be a technology guy? Do you really think Brad Pitt sets up his own computer? I don't know, but I know I should, right? Oh, ugly, huh? I should be building walls somewhere in San Salvador, right? So I told my mom I'll be there at 10:30. She goes, no, that's not going to work. I said, what do you mean it's not going to work? That's half hour and then we're a half hour early. No. It's going to take 45 minutes to get there. 45 minutes. You know, Mom, in the last year, I've probably driven you to the doctor 30 or 40 times. It's 25 minutes. No. There's traffic. All right, Mom, whatever you say. All right. So now I got to get there even earlier, right? I do to learn a little life hack, though. I still get there at 10:30. I still get there, but, you know, in her mind, I've agreed that we're going to get there even earlier. So we're heading out, and it's only 25 minutes, but we see some brake lights, and immediately she points them out. Look, see, I told you there's traffic. You're in Los Angeles, you're in the Southern California basin, literally at 3 a.m. in the morning, there is traffic. At 11 o'clock at night, there is traffic. There is always a brake light. I mean, that is just part and parcel for living in the best place in the world. And like I've said, if you're in snow in the Midwest, if you're dealing with some unfortunate natural circumstances, please don't move here, okay? We got enough people. No. Welcome one, welcome all. And so we get out there, and we're 30 minutes early. Now, anybody who goes to the doctor knows exactly how this game goes, especially for an 11:30 appointment. You're gonna get moved back. They're actually gonna have delays. They deal with people. They're attending to their patients, right? When you go into the doctor and you have issues, you want to feel like you're being attended to. So let's say they slot 10 minutes for you. Sometimes it takes 15 or 20. It ripples, right? All right. So now we're at 11:15. Now we're at 11:20. We're still 10 minutes away from the allotted appointment time. And she starts getting anxious. Oh, man, what's going on? How come they're not taking me in? I said, Mom, your appointment isn't for 10 more minutes. Oh, okay, I didn't know. She's got the same watch I do. She's got the same cell phone I do, but she doesn't know, right? So finally 11:30 comes, and what a shock. They don't get her in for another 15 minutes. Oh, man. You thought Chernobyl melted down? Oh, she doesn't say anything, but I can just tell she's tense, right? Boy, oh, boy. She's not happy. Can't believe it. Come here on time. They don't see me. Why do they have appointments? Why do they do this? I'm like, oh, my God. This is like Groundhog Day. I've dealt with this 40 times in the last year. I'm like, I don't know. Now I'm learning. I'm learning what my dad has taught me. He just stays quiet and just looks off, right? All right. So we're out there, and finally she gets in. She goes to see the doctor. And I'm out there with my dad. Now, my dad is in the deep stages of Alzheimer's. He's not really cognitively responsive. He knows me, but for the most part, most of the things in the world he doesn't know. It's a debilitating disease. It does bother me that the Trump administration is cutting, research funding for things like Alzheimer's and cancer. Those are things that we're never really going to know if they would have got a cure in 5 years or 15, but let's not get into that political rant today. Believe me, it'll come soon. And so I'm out there. My dad's kind of a handful. He'll start saying stuff like, hey, where's Mom? Where's Mom? And I'm like, I don't know, Dad. She's in there getting her doctor, meeting with her doctor, right? And so he starts moving around, starting fidgeting, and oh, man, he's a handful, right? And finally, 45 minutes later, forget the 15-minute appointment, her doctor cared enough about her to spend 45 minutes with her, okay? And literally I asked, hey, what happened to the doctor? Nothing. Yeah, 45-minute appointment. Nothing happened, right? She doesn't want to tell me. She doesn't want to give me any bad medical news. I appreciate it. That's a mother's love, right? Beautiful, beautiful. And so I take my dad to the restroom because I know we're going to go out and eat. Now we're at like 1:30 or 12:30, 12:45. And so I'm taking my dad to the restroom. My mom happens to come out and split. She thinks we're all out in the front. Like, where am I going to go with my dad? Right? Right? It's just a chore. So she's out there. She calls me. We go out there. We meet, right? Now we head to go get some lunch. We go get some lunch. And man, oh man, that's been a bad week. It's been a real bad week. If you heard the other day, we went to Olive Garden. She had a gift card. I put the gift card in. It showed it had $50 on it. Then it all of a sudden evaporated. Bing! Oh my God, right? So I didn't think my mom picked up on it, but she sure as heck did, right? So we go to Chili's. And I will say this, I've noticed this, and maybe somebody can leave a comment to me. I understand that restaurant dining has changed. I understand that totally, but one of the things I've noticed in the last couple is that the waitress takes your order and brings your food, but does not take the plates off the table as they are accumulating. All right? So we make our order and we all get our salads. We get those. My mom gets a chicken sandwich. My dad and I get a hamburger. Really healthy living, John. And they mess up the order. So they got to take them back, okay? And so now, we have some chips there we're eating, whatever. And then they bring back the other dishes. And literally, the table, now my father and I have had two beverages each. I've had an iced tea. He's had an iced tea. We've had a couple of refills. They don't just refill it with a jug. They bring you a new cup. So now the table is starting to look like an episode of Hoarders, right? And the lady comes, no joke, and she says, the waitress, excuse me, and she says, how's everything going? I'm going, fine. And literally, the plates are stacked up. That's my thing. I'm kind of like, I try and get the plates as far over to the corner so we can enjoy our meal, have some room. Now it's stacking, right? I mean, it's like cargo containers in the port of Los Angeles, man. We're just stacking it up, all right? Stack them high and let them fly, And so now the lady comes back and says, okay, everything, and they have the little kiosk. They don't hand you checks anymore, right? You got a kiosk, you got to figure it out. And so we get it. We got a gift card. Now John's not going to make the same mistake he made over the other day at Olive Garden, right? He's not going to put it in and it's going to disappear, because when I brought that up at Olive Garden, it's like everything else when you go out there. Oh, I don't know about that. I can't see it. My manager's not here. I don't have that authority, blah, blah, blah. Let's be honest. The waiter made an extra $50 tip. All right, whatever. No harm, no foul. Well, whatever. So I asked the lady, I said, hey, they got a swipe on top and then they got a place in the side where you put a card. And I said, which one do I use for that? She goes, I'm not sure. Just try them both. I'm like, oh, no. You need to try this. The dishes are stacked high, literally over my head. And she's sitting there saying she doesn't have time to take the payment. All right. Finally, the manager comes out, tells us which one to swipe the gift card versus the credit card. Everything worked out great. We somehow escaped before all the dishes crashed on us and killed us and impaled us with the glass. Hey, kumbaya. Kumbaya. All right. Like I said, welcome to the Scorched Earth Political Podcast. We're off and running. Friend and foe. We're taking no prisoners, telling no lies. We're going to burn this mofo down tonight. And I apologize yesterday. I did get a little verbose with my obscenities. Not good. I try not to. I got a little animated. Who would have thought I'd ever get animated during the Trump administration? Whatever. Let's start out with a good story for tonight or today. Seems like Senator Chris Van Hollen from the great state of Maryland. Go Terrapins, crab cakes aplenty. He met with Kilmar Garcia, the Maryland man wrongly deported to El Salvador, Thursday. He released a statement. He said, my main goal of the trip was to meet with Kilmar. Tonight I had the chance. He posted on X. He said, I have called his wife, Jennifer, to pass along this message of love. I look forward to providing a full update upon my return. Let's dissect that statement for a second. Kristi Noem did a couple photo shoots down there. Okay? He was in the background of some of her shots. The Trump administration has admitted in numerous court filings that it was an administrative error, clerical error. He was wrongfully deported, but they can't do anything. Nobody is hooking him up with a phone call to his wife and his family? I mean, what reptilian people with no bloody heart are running our government? You can't let the guy you've admitted in court he was wrongfully deported. You can't let him talk to his wife? Yeah. Hopes and prayers, right? About compassion. The family values party, right? So this statement was released by Salvadoran President Bukele. Salvador Garcia will remain in El Salvador's custody following the meeting. He posted on X. Now that he's confirmed healthy, he gets the honor of staying in El Salvador's custody. Just twisting the knife, right? I have an issue. Trump wants to, in the eyes of the world and the PR, and by his lackeys, be portrayed as being this strong, really incredible, thuggish guy. Nobody messes with him. And how come he can't get him back if he's so badass? This guy is like an hombre with a 6-shooter, right? He's like going down, he's in Tombstone. Going to take care of everything. But somehow he can't get some third world dictator to return one prisoner. Real badass. Then Bukele goes on. Kilmar Abrego Garcia, miraculously risen from the death camps and torture, now sipping margaritas with Senator Van Hollen in the tropical paradise of El Salvador. This tells you that the criticism is getting to him. He's fighting back. Now, it doesn't mean they're going to release him. Eventually, they are going to release him. They're going to put him back in America. I really do believe this. I hope I'm right? But at the end of the day, they're trying to scare everybody else out there. I mean, we've all seen the stories where they send emails. They're trying to get people to self-deport. You know, that whole thing. We have a press release from his wife, Jennifer Vasquez. My children and my prayers have been answered. The efforts of my family and community in fighting for justice are being heard because I know now that my husband is alive. The government that wrongfully deported him wouldn't even give her an update on his status or let him talk to her on the phone. I mean, at what point? At what point do you just admit, I am a reptile god. I have cold blood. I have no soul. Right? The meeting Thursday night with Van Hollen came after him and his delegation were stopped at the prison gates and not allowed to enter. Somehow they pulled some, strings. Somehow they got in to see the guy. Obviously, it's a PR thing, right? Obviously, the Trump administration is feeling a lot of heat on this one. They got a lot of stuff going on. We shall see where this story goes. I still believe he is eventually going to get returned, and they're going to act like they did the right thing, even though they have destroyed this man. This man had nothing to do with MS-13. All right, and this is a story that's huge. I know. It's a big story. So the Supreme Court on Thursday agreed to hear oral arguments over President Trump's request to enforce a plan to end birthright citizenship against all but a handful of individuals. Okay? Though it deferred a request from the administration that would have allowed it to implement the plan immediately. We have all heard about what is going on here. And there's a bigger story. There's two bigger stories underneath here that I don't think, I know legacy media is not reporting. Okay? You're going to hear something here that you don't hear anywhere else. What they are arguing is we want to end birthright citizenship. And that's not exactly what they're going after. It is, but we're going to get to that in the bottom half of this story. But what they are angry at is that a lower court stopped them from doing what they wanted. They are going to the Supreme Court for a ruling that says the lower courts can't stop us. Okay? Now, for the last 4 years, every time Biden did something, they ran to those West Texas judges, federal judges, and got injunctions. And Biden abided by it. He said, okay. Now, the Trump administration has been stung by this in the first 2.5 months of its administration, and they ain't taking it too well. They're jumping up and down like Rumpelstiltskin. What the Supreme Court is going to hear on May 15th is, do they have to abide by lower court rulings? What happens is, you get to a district court, you get to an appellate court, you get to a federal court, and they make a ruling, and then it makes its way up. Maybe it gets to the Supreme Court, maybe it doesn't, right? They want to eliminate that whole process. They want to be said that no court has the legal authority to stop the administration from enacting whatever it wants. It can't rule on the constitutionality of it. That's a dangerous thing. And I know we're living in a time where everybody every day is yelling, oh, this is the dangerous time. And they're right. I'm not poo-pooing that. But this is really serious stuff. If an administration doesn't have to abide by court rulings, it becomes a dictatorship. Nobody can hold them in check. Who does it? We have the three branches of government, the judicial, the legislature, and the executive. Right? This is a big ruling. The Supreme Court's going to hear it on May 15th, like I said. You know, and the presidents of both parties have always complained about it. You know, Obama did, Trump did in his first go-around, Biden did, about being stifled for legislative achievements because of rulings by the court. And let's be honest, the liberals do the same thing the conservatives do. They go to a liberal-friendly court, file their brief. The conservatives go to a conservative-friendly venue to file it and get the injunction from them implementing anything, right? Unless it's passed through Congress. This is the only check we have on executive orders. Understand that. Nobody is talking about that. The courts are the only way to stop it because Congress isn't doing a damn thing. They have the power of the purse, but the Republicans in Congress who should fight back and say, you can't just defund these programs because we have actually funded them till September, they're a bunch of cuckolds. They're not doing anything about it. They're saying, hey man, we're all part of the party. Pass the cocktails, pass the champagne. Got any mimosas? So here's the second thing they're doing. And this is what I really didn't understand until I started doing a deep dive today, is we all hear about the birthright citizenship, right? And that's basically anybody born here is a citizen, right? Well, Trump is arguing, he is making the argument that if you don't have both parents who are American citizens, then you cannot be an American citizen. It has to be both parents have to be citizens for now, right? Eventually it's going to be, well, you got to be third generation, but let's not get down the rabbit hole too far because we're all going to be depressed and we're going to be on Adderall and we're going to be on lithium and all the other good stuff before the end of this show. And I'm just trying to save you some money, okay? Keep the co-pays to a minimum. So what they are arguing is, okay, the Constitution says anybody born here is a citizen. What Trump did, and I didn't really understand this until today, and that's probably maybe one of the reasons I really haven't done a deep dive on this, is the Trump administration saying they're arguing that you're not a citizen, but they're also arguing that anybody who is born here, who's technically a citizen, they don't consider you a citizen for practical purposes, okay? And the government will not honor any of your legal documents. Now let that sit in for a second. That is what the executive order he signed on the first day of this new administration. And I didn't realize that. So you can't get a driver's license. You can't get a job. You can't get a passport. You can't get anything. I mean, think about how many different ways. You can't go to school. You need documents. If the government doesn't, you can have them. You can have the birth certificate from the hospital. You can have your vaccinations, record of vaccinations or whatever it is, medical records. But if they don't accept them, they don't really exist, do they? It's kind of like the argument I've had with Doge getting into all the Social Security records, because if they want to eliminate you and say you don't exist, you don't exist. I don't care if you're that one guy who kept all your W-2s for the last 30 years, right? If you go up to them and say, I got them all, they go, oh, no, that's not what our records say. It's what it is, right? That's a scary thing. That's a scary thing. And I know most of us have been born here with both parents being American citizens, but there's a lot of people in this country, this beautiful country, and they're beautiful people who have one parent who came here from another country. And the other parent was a citizen, right? Well, they're citizens. Well, if the government doesn't accept it, what does it really mean, right? I tell you something, man. They came in firing on this one. They really did. They really did. All right. We're going to end up with a very somber story for today. I hate this. I didn't want to start out with it. You know, maybe people have peeled off. I don't know. I know I do a different type of podcast. I do anywhere between 20, 25, 30 minutes a night. And I know that's not the thing. But you know what? There is some people who stick it out. And I do appreciate you listening. I really do, especially towards the end. Because believe me, I could barely handle myself for 25 minutes. I don't even know. You all must be masochist. God bless you. God bless you. There's something to be said for a good masochist. But we had this shooting yesterday at Florida State University. And, you know, we've had a lot of bedlam. We've had a lot of things going on in society. And I'm going to ask you something, and I'm going to give you a second here. How many mass shootings do you think we've had in the United States this year? Yeah. How many do you think? Now, if you asked me, let's talk about what happened at Florida State yesterday, okay? 2 people were killed, 5 others wounded. The suspect was a 20-year-old FSU student. His mom was a sheriff's deputy. He was in possession of one of her guns. I don't want to misspeak here. They have not said if that was the weapon used in the assault. But let's get back to the other question. How many mass shootings do you think have been in America? That is, a mass shooting is defined as one person, shooting over 5 people in one event, in one brief period of time. Okay? If you asked me, and I literally read 30 news articles a day, I probably listen to 3 or 4 podcasts. Yes, I know you're saying, geez, John, you need to get a life. You would be correct. You would be correct. But I would have said, because I don't hear it, I don't hear anything. I'd say we're in the middle of April. That's 115 days, 120 days. I'm going to say, Alex, what is 30 mass shootings? I mean, yeah, I'd say it. I really haven't heard of one. Okay? So, I did in research for the show, because I do research. I'm not just a pretty face. I keep telling you that. I'm not just a pretty face. I went to the website Mass Shooting Tracker. Yes, we live in a country that this is a website. On the bottom of it, it says, days since the last mass shooting, and it had a 0. A 0. There have been 98 mass shootings in the United States so far this year. 98. Almost one a day. Almost one a day. And I wonder, are we so numb to it that they just don't report it in the media? I'm going to talk about what's happened this week. We're just going to go with this week. And like I said, I'm reading 30 articles a day. A lot of them have a lot of pictures, okay? You know my education level isn't comprehensive and compatible with bisyllable words, right? This week, on tax day, April 15th, there was a mass shooting in Dallas at a school. 4 high school students were shot. Actually, there was 5. Just like I said, it's 5 or more. I guess maybe it's 4 or more. You know what? I retract that. I think it is 4 or more in one event. But there was 5 who were shot there. 1 was grazed. Okay? This poor guy, this lucky guy just gets a skin graft, right? Last Sunday, only talking 5 days ago, did anybody out there hear about the mass shooting in St. Louis where 5 people got shot? No, I missed that one, John. There was also one in New Orleans where another 5 people got shot. We're a country of guns. That's what we are. And, you know, like I've said, I have most of my friends, most of my ecosystem are on the gun-toting right. And God bless them. They are good people. They are responsible gun owners. But when you have that many guns out there, there's irresponsible people who get them, and innocent people die. They die. They get wounded. Their lives and their families' lives get destroyed. And, you know, in a country where we lost approximately 3,000 people in 9/11, and then we waged 2 wars for 20 years, It is incomprehensible to me why in the goddamn hell we can't get some sensible mental health legislation, some background check legislation to decrease the numbers. 98 mass shootings this year. Did you have that on your bingo card? Probably not. I sure as hell didn't. I had 30. All right. All right, that's it for today. Sorry to bum you out, but that's what it is. I love y'all. We're in this together. I appreciate your patronage. I appreciate the comments, and I really, really appreciate you spending part of your day with me. I love y'all. We're in this together. We are going to win. We are on the right side. We are on the side of morality. We are going to win because we are just. All right. Hit the like and subscribe. Hit the notifications, and I will see you soon.